David Wharton for the LA Times. His latest article is LA Marathon disqualifies senior runner for alleged cheating. And it was certainly interesting, the twist and turns with this, and David kind enough to join us. David, summarize the story for us.
Well, we have this runner here in Los Angeles, a 70-year-old named Frank Mesa. Very respected man in his community. He's a physician. He's spent a lot of time trying to provide low-cost health care and mentor young students. And he's been a lifelong runner, but around age 60, he started running marathons. And after a few years, started showing some pretty marked improvement. And over the last 3 or 4 years, he's been running under 3 hours, which is kind of a mark of distinction for marathon runners. And he's been either getting close to or surpassing age group records. But the thing is that there has been this huge sort of debate that's kind of riled up in the running community about whether or not he's cheating. And he has been disqualified twice from marathons for times that just didn't look right when they looked at the split times. He was banned from one marathon in California. And now in this recent LA marathon, he won it for his age group, set a record. And but there were more accusations that were coming out. There were photographs they found from security cameras and race cameras that showed him coming back onto the course, and they couldn't tell exactly where he had left. And as the race officials just announced this weekend, when they went back and figured out his times for one 5-kilometer stretch, he would have set the age group world record for 5 kilometers, just running 5 kilometers alone. So race officials say that's just impossible to do in the middle of a marathon. So they have disqualified him, and it's just a strange story because it brings up this whole history of people cheating in what it amounts to recreational running. I mean, they're not doing this for money, for glory.
Has he denied it, David?
Yes, I have talked to him quite a bit over the last few weeks, and he says he doesn't cheat. He doesn't really have an explanation for the strange split times that have gotten him disqualified. He says he left the course because he needed to use a restroom and that he wandered along the sidewalk for a while before he found one, so that might account for him leaving at one point and entering at the other. But beyond that, he doesn't have a whole lot of explanation. And it's in marathons, there's thousands and thousands of people out there on city streets. Even the experts say that the only way you can really tell that someone correctly ran it is if they have an observer running with them.
And he has refused to have an observer running with him, hasn't he?
Well, LA Marathon originally suspected something in 2015. So they told him, they said, look, we can't prove anything, but if you come back and run next year, we want you to run with an official observer. And he said, fine. But then the following year, he decided to run another marathon in Northern California in the spring and didn't run LA. When he came back the year after that, he didn't ask for it. He says he thought it was just a one-year offer, and the LA people weren't keeping track, so he ended up running the next 3 years without an observer.
Knowing what you know, I know you're supposed to, not be biased here. Do you think he cheated?
I think that there's an awful lot of evidence that he cheated. But as I said, even some of the people who have some of the strongest accusations acknowledge that you can't really prove it unless you're with the guy every step of the way. And that's why a lot of the running community really, really wants to see what he does with an observer, just to prove what I think a lot of people already at this point believe.
Yeah, it feels like if you want to, prove people wrong and that you didn't cheat, that would be the easiest way to do it. That or GPS.
There's even a case in Florida a while back of and it's just this really strange thing in the running community where there are these really successful people in their careers and their lives who end up cheating at marathons. The last people you would think would want to or need to do that. And there's a case in Florida of a woman, I believe she was an Ivy League educated economist or something like that, and I can't recall right now, but she went back and apparently cut corners and then went back and rode her bike through portions of the race to fill in the blanks on the GPS. There's an app you can use that runners use. And it wasn't until they noticed that some of the portions of the race, which kind of showed up as a straight red line, were from different times. And that was when they caught her, and she admitted to it. So even GPS isn't foolproof.
Wow. Isn't that interesting, though, that you get these people who are very successful in business and a way to approach business to be successful, and then they would take shortcuts in something like running a race?
And there's this guy in Ohio who's admittedly a very slow runner, but who is a data analyst who has made it his sort of passion to investigate these things. He has a website called marathoninvestigation.com, and he's written about. I know this is true. I could not make this up.
That's very niche, by the way, David.
Yeah. But niche, but passionate following. So he. I asked him because he's looked into so many of these things, and he said, I asked him, like, why are these people doing this? Because there is this trend out there for successful people cheating. And he's like, I wish I knew. I just don't.
Man, that's crazy. Hey, it's great to talk to you, David. We appreciate your time, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Hey, my pleasure.
That's David Wharton, LA Times.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.